Today in math, you are going to need your math journal for a few different things. So make sure you have your math journal right now while you're listening to this video so that you can follow along with what I'm asking you to do. First of all, after you get your math journal, I'd like you to turn it to the very back of the book. And in the very back, we know that there is a number grid, right? Then we have some cards in the back here that are on thick paper. But then before that, we have some pages that are kind of just blank and they say notes. Now, we don't usually write notes in math class, but I do love that these pages are here because we can use them while we're remote learning here for you to fill in the warm-up answers. At school, we often start our lessons with a warm-up because it just kind of gets our brains thinking about what's coming in math that day. For today's warm-up, I'd like you to write your answers on one of these pages of notes. You don't have to take up the whole page, but just write your answers because you're just going to be writing a few number sentences today. So take a little part of the page and write your number sentences so that you can show me a picture of that on Seesaw later. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you here so that I can read you the questions for the warm-up. Make sure you follow along by writing the answers in your math journal. The question says, there are 4 red leaves and 5 yellow leaves on the sidewalk. How many leaves are there in all? This one says, Anne has 3 rocks in her pocket. Ben gives her some more rocks. Now Anne has 7 rocks. How many rocks did Ben give her? Jose has some papers in his folder and 3 papers in his desk. He has 6 papers altogether. How many are in his folder? Okay, now that we finished our warm-up, we are going to continue learning about measurement in math today. So you should still have your math journal nearby. Can you turn to page 51? On page 51, you'll see these 2 colorful ribbons. There are 2 questions on this page. We're going to do them together here. I don't need you to post a picture of page 51 on Seesaw because we're doing the page together here. Number 1 says, which ribbon is longer? Circle it. So, is it the blue one or the pink and yellow one? Which one is longer? Circle it. Now I want you to think for yourself, how did I know which one was longer? Maybe you had to measure it, and that's okay. Go right ahead. Maybe you could tell just by looking at it, although looks can be deceiving. I had like to take something kind of like we did yesterday in our lesson and measure with one thing. Like I have a pen right here. If I put my pen up next to this blue and purple ribbon, my pen is almost the exact same length as that ribbon. If I put my pen up to the pink and yellow one, ooh, let me get the angle right here. My pen is actually longer than the pink and yellow one. So I would argue that the pink and yellow one is shorter and the blue and purple one is longer. So I will circle it to show my answer. Number 2 says, which set of tally marks shows the larger number? So I'm going to circle the set of tally marks. Is it this first one or is it the second one? I will let you count them up and circle the set that is larger. Now, when we were talking about the ribbons, I told you that I would argue that the blue and purple ribbon is longer than the other ribbon. I use the word argue because that's a word I'd like you to understand for today's lesson. When I'm arguing with someone, that means that we each have a different point of view and we're trying to make each other understand what we're talking about. If I'm arguing that the blue and purple ribbon is longer, that doesn't mean that I'm like mad at someone and I'm yelling at them about why this is longer. It just means that I have a reason to believe that the blue and purple ribbon is longer, and I'm going to be able to share my reasoning. Today, I posted something in Seesaw for you, and you will have to share some reasoning when you answer this question. Let me show you. To see on Seesaw today, and it says, here is how 4 children used blocks to measure the length of a marker. So I see Rodrigo here used blocks to measure this marker. He was able to get a certain number of blocks across here. I'll let you count them. Lee also measured a marker and used some blocks. Sophia also measured the marker and used some blocks. Joseph also measured the marker and used some blocks. Now the question is, who made the best measurement? Okay, so when we look at this screen, you can probably tell pretty easily who made the best measurement. I'm not going to tell you the answer, but you can probably see it for yourself. The next part says, write a note to convince a friend that you are right. So on Seesaw, I'm asking you to create an argument, like we just talked about why one of those kids made the better measurement than the other kids. Now, you can use what we've learned in the past few lessons to be able to describe why one of those kids made a better measurement than the others. Think about what you know about measuring and what needs to happen for a non-standard measurement to be correct. When you post this argument on Seesaw, it can just be your voice telling me what you think. Or it could be a video of yourself like this, telling me what you think. Or you can type it out in the notes section to tell me what you think. You could write it out with the pen feature if you want, though I think that would probably take you a while. I really want you to really think about why one of those measurements is correct. We know one of them is, but why is one of those better than the rest of them? So remember, today you're posting a picture of the answers to your warm-up, and you're answering the questions on the template in Seesaw. Those are the only 2 things you have to answer today in Seesaw. I don't need a picture of page 51. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.